Welcome to the MYM Insider Monthly Top 10. We're counting down the top 10 training moments from MYM founder, author, and CEO, Rich Harshaw.
Hello, listeners. Stu Gray on the MYM Insider Monthly Top 10 Countdown. It's the top 10 moments from all of the various training webinars, from strategic marketing to tactical marketing to the Innovation Hour and more. In this month of webinars, Rich helps insiders establish credibility by drawing a line in the sand and talking with power. He teaches insiders how to nab a new list of qualified leads with the fundamentals of joint ventures. He extracts a marketing lesson from his kids nagging him for Chuck E. Cheese, and more. Let's get started. Our first clip comes from the Strategic Marketing Webinar. In the Strategic Marketing Webinar series, Rich teaches insiders how to write marketing. In our clip today, Rich teaches insiders to define their company's niche and draw a line in the sand. Rich is practical-minded. He always reminds us to focus on our target market, our John Smith, whoever he is. Let's listen. Cue the announcer.
Number 10.
So let's talk about drawing a line in the sand. There's an old adage that says you can't be everything to everyone, and it's absolutely 100% true. You've got to decide what you want to be, who you want to serve, and then you've got to carve out that niche and then forget everybody else. I'm sorry to use my business as an example, but we had some experiences in our past that kind of hurt us. One of them was we got Dell Computer to pay us a big chunk of money to come down and talk to a bunch of their people. And then they paid us a huge chunk of money to write some marketing for them. So guess what? We started kind of thinking for a little while, oh, wow, let's go get a bunch of big, huge Fortune 500 companies. And it turns out that it was one of the worst experiences of my career because that company, it had no follow-through. Their management was in and out like revolving doors, and there was no ownership of anybody in the company to run with it, and it was just a miserable, bureaucratic, red tape-laden experience, but the money was really good. And finally realized, no, we don't deal with Dell. We don't deal with companies of that type. We deal with small business. That's what we do. This is what we do. We deal with small companies. And if you're a big company and you want to give us money, fine, we'll take it, but we're not going after you. What's your niche? What do? You need to decide what you want to be, and you've got to develop that niche, and you've got to get rid of everything else. It's going to build a lot of credibility with that relatively small group. You say, well, how small is the group? Well, it doesn't matter. Just as long as it's big enough to support what you're trying to accomplish financially. And what I'm talking about here is within your business, focusing in on certain things. Now, let me show you what I mean specifically. Here's the line in the sand. You've got to decide what you are versus what you are not. So what do you stand for? What are you? And don't try to be all things to all people. It's about finding the hottest hot button. Go through the MYM methodology, list and rank the various hot buttons. Now, if you've gone through the methodology, you should have already done this by now. If you're looking at that on the screen and you have no idea what I'm talking about, then you need to go through the MYM methodology. If you're a brand new member, because I know we've got several brand new members probably on this call today, then you need to get the MYM Methodology Bootcamp, download it off of our website, and go through that. It goes through a detailed explanation of how to take the hot buttons, how to rank them, find out which ones are the most important. Now, I'm going to assume for just a minute that you know what that means, and you can do that. And here's what I want you to look at. Which hot buttons are the most important to the customer? Which hot buttons do you have a natural knack for? Do you excel at? Which ones could you most easily innovate? And here's what we're really trying to find. What is your hottest hot button? What are the hot buttons, one, maybe two, but probably one, that you could really, really, really excel at? Okay, now I'm going to give you a bunch of examples of all this in a minute, so if it's kind of feeling a little fuzzy and nebulous, just hang in there. It's okay. It'll all come together. But here's what I want you to think about right now. We talked about ignition code, and this is really an extension of that discussion called what is the thing that you can really, 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 really excel at? Because here's what we want to do. We want to create a position for you in the customer's mind. You're still building a case as you go out to do your marketing. You still have all the points of your case that can be used in your marketing. Nobody's saying that you have to get rid of all the other points in your case. But here's what we want to do. We want to use the ranking system of the hot buttons. Again, that's part of the methodology. And we want to use in the proper ratios the various hot buttons. So if we go out in a multi-touch campaign, and again, I'm talking at a little bit higher level here, giving you some benefit of the doubt that you've got some experience with MYM methodology. And again, if you don't, there's some remedies that I've given you for that. But if you go out to a multi-touch campaign and you're going to hit somebody with 15 different messages, you better have at least half or more of those that are really, really focused in and dialed in on whatever it is that's your ignition code, your hottest hot button, the thing that you want to be known for, okay? So, again, listen to what I just said. Half or more of your messaging should be whatever your hottest hot button is. What you want people to look at you and say, okay, I get it, that's what they do, okay? Choose your hottest hot button and draw a line in the sand. Think about this. If you draw a line in the sand, then you're going to have to concede. I'll give you a great example from our vacuum guy. You say, oh, man, I hate this vacuum example because I don't sell vacuums. It doesn't matter. The principles are what's important here. Here's one of the concerns that the vacuum guy had. He says, this is Bruce, our insider member, he says that the Dyson brand vacuum that's done such a wonderful job of marketing their brand actually is not a very good vacuum, and the reason is because it's bagless. And Bruce says, according to him, the expert, that any bagless vacuum is not going to get the job done right long term, over time. It's not going to last. It's not going to suck as well as it should, and it's a problem. And I said, okay, so do you get a lot of people walking in asking for Dyson? He said, yeah, we do. I said, do you try to convert them to other vacuums? He says, yeah, I do, but some people just want them. He said, especially women. I think he said age 20 to 30, somewhere in that range, really fall for that Dyson thing. They really want that. And he says, yeah, I carry them simply because I have to, because some people just demand it. And I said, well, okay, that's understandable, but here's what I would rather do. And we looked at it. As a percentage of his sales, it was probably like 10 or 15% were Dyson, people that just absolutely insisted on it. And I said, well, why not just draw a line in the sand, tell people that if you want a bagless vacuum, you refuse to sell it because it's a horrible investment. And if you want a Dyson, yeah, they've got pretty machines and they're yellow and they're cool and the guy's, European on the commercial and it's fun to look at, but I'd never let my mother buy one. I never let my uncles and aunts buy one. I never let my children buy one. So I'm not going to let you buy one. And draw that line. If you don't want to do business with me, that's fine, but I just want you to know that you're going to buy a mistake. This is what you're going to be freaking known for. Let me ask you this. Right now, what are you known for? If somebody just looked at your marketing, if somebody just looked at your website, and they've never heard of you before, they didn't know anything about you, would it be obvious what you are known for? Or would you look kind of like, most marketing that just blows chunks? Probably that one. No, not you, because you're in the insider, so you probably fixed all that by now.
Find your hottest hot button. You've got to know who your target John Smith is if you want to know your lava hot hottest hot button. Remember, it's John Smith's hot button. What desire of his does your company satisfy? What frustration does your company solve? Side note, knowing your hottest hot button will help you come up with your slogan and brand promise too. Bonus,